Folks, again, thanks so much for your patience. I know we're running quite late. We just had a couple things to cover that went a little longer than expected. Welcome to this evening's meeting. It's August 16th. It is 7:53. I don't have my phone in front of me. If everybody could please rise and pledge the flag. We're in order. Thank you. And roll call, please, Angela.
Saba Al-Zayed.
Here.
Amy Funahashi.
Here.
James Fee.
Here.
Megan Nolan.
Here.
Diane Gundrum.
Here.
Tony Heil.
Here.
Kyle Shank.
Here.
Mr. President, we were in executive session from approximately 6:45 to about 7:50 with regard to a personnel issue and contracts.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bella. Mr. Truman, take it away.
All right, very good. Good evening, everybody. First up, for council consideration, approval of the July 19th, 2022 meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
We have a motion from Ms. Funahashi, seconded by Ms. Nolan to approve the minutes. Any additional questions or comments from council or the public? All right, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. Next up for council consideration, a motion to hire Felix Zielinski to the position of part-time crossing guard. And Chief Beretta, I don't know if you or Mayor Jack Sear had any comment prior to this vote?
So we welcome Mr. Sonny Zielinski. He's a 51-year resident of Bridgeport, and we're welcome to have him aboard. He was a transportation manager for many years, and we need another good hand protecting our children every day. So thank you for taking the time to get in contact with us and for coming aboard.
Is that Mr. Zielinski and the? Excellent, sir.
Never mind, I'll make a motion to hire Mr. Zielinski.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Heil, seconded by Ms. Gundrum to hire Mr. Zielinski as a part-time crossing guard. Any additional questions from council or the public? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. Zielinski, and thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Zielinski. Welcome aboard. Appreciate you coming out. Sorry for the wait. Okay, next up for council consideration, final land development application for green space self-storage, 125 Borough Line Road. At this time, I would ask if the applicants would please step forward to the podium.
Hi, good evening. Deborah Shulsky with the firm of Riley, Viper, Holland, Greco here on behalf of the applicant. Also with me is our project engineer, Joe Rosella from DL Howe and Associates. And I believe the council is familiar with this project. We were previously before you as part of our special exception when we sought a reduction in the number of parking spaces. At that time, I believe the council was supportive of that, was involved with the drafting of the conditions of approval for the zoning hearing board, which obviously would still be applicable and carry through to the land development. Since that time, we've obviously engineered the plans. We've had several rounds of review letters from your various professional consultants. We believe that we're at a point where we have very clean review letters that have very minor items, just several cleanup items. And obviously, we're happy to answer any questions you have, and our engineer's happy to walk you through the plan again if you would like.
Any council members would like some more detail on this, or can we just move forward with the process? I'm fine with moving forward with the process. I think we've covered this in detail in previous meetings.
Mr. Woyden, you're happy with their responses?
I am, Mr. Heil, yes.
And Mr. Warden, you have a review letter, a final review letter, July 21, 2022. Is that correct?
Correct, Mr. Bello.
And is there any change to the provisions in that letter?
None, Mr. Bello.
Okay. So to move it forward, we would need a motion to grant the waiver as set forth in Mr. Ed Warden's letter, and then we would need a subsequent motion to approve. And you're willing to accept all the conditions and waivers set forth in Mr. Warden's letter,
That's correct.
as well as the conditions set forth in the ZHB approval?
Absolutely.
Mr. Truman just brought up a good point. I think we should at least visit it briefly. The vegetation in the parking lot, this is item 1 under the subdivision and land development section on page 1. We had discussed some landscaping, I think, in the parking lot or surrounding the building. Are what we're reading here that landscaping's not going to be done? We're going to use existing vegetation, of which I don't necessarily know what existing vegetation's up there, but it probably isn't pretty.
No, while Mr. Rosello is coming to the thing, Mr. President, I can add a little clarity to that. I think the requirement of the subdivision land development ordinance requires just a natural buffer between the properties. The landscaping of the site is a different thing. So I'm of the opinion that the existing vegetation is a significant and enough buffer for the site, but that's certainly up for a waiver for council's consideration. The second item under the subdivision land development comment deals with actual tree planting. And it's the question of whether you want islands and you want to plant the islands as opposed to the applicants, as I understand, and they can certainly verify this, are proposing that more trees than are required by the subdivision and land development ordinance. That I'll allow them.
And just to back that up, they've also requested that the trees not be planted in the islands, but they would plant more trees than required.
Okay.
Yeah, so we think it's more of a partial waiver as to the location of the trees, not the quantity of the trees. We are definitely providing more than what's required.
What's the rationale or logic behind not wanting to plant trees in the islands?
Well, first of all, we think that it would be a possibility they wouldn't even survive, but it would impact the parking spaces if we had to do that and just reduce more the parking that is proposed on the site.
Because you're also not proposing islands.
That's correct.
So there are no islands proposed to maximize the number of spots.
And the additional trees planted on site, or is that, okay, yeah, thank you.
And then, as you can see, there's significant, in terms of the first issue that was in the engineer review letter, there is very significant existing vegetation on the site.
I appreciate that you're going to have more trees than needed, and thank you for that, because we do need more tree coverage regardless in the borough. So, but my only question for whomever here is, what is the exact language of the waiver that we're asking for here? Because it's a little bit confusing, because it just says requesting a waiver from this requirement, and so I don't know if there's a specificity I'm missing.
With regard to placement of the trees,
So if I make a motion, what motion am I making?
you would make a motion for a waiver of the placement of trees and alternative placement of trees not on islands.
That's correct.
So I can do.
So
So moved.
And then I think under the first item, we just need the concurrence from the council that they agree that the existing vegetation would satisfy that item.
That is correct.
And Mr. Woyden, you were satisfied with what we saw there?
I am, Mr. President.
I
Yeah.
have one more question before that. The contribution in lieu of parking, when can we expect that to be made?
I mean, typically, there's no timing in the condition, but I would suggest that it be either at the time of the occupancy permit. Would that be acceptable?
Ed?
Okay by me, yes.
So that would be the new condition.
Okay.
So we do have a motion on the table from Mr. Heil.
So is my motion then to grant the waivers plural?
No.
I make a motion to grant the waiver as defined by Mr. Bello so eloquently.
I'll second.
Motion was from Mr. Heil, second by Mr. Fee. Thank you, Mr. Fee. Any additional questions or comments from council?
Actually, a quick question. What were the lighting improvements that were made? I know there was a concern that that area can get a little, it's just out there and dark.
Yes, what we did was we added additional lighting around the building, building-mounted lighting, and also motion detector lighting, so that if there's any movement, the lights would go on, in particular in the rear, between the rear of the building and the proposed walking trail. So there would be continuous lighting that would be activated by any motion.
Great, thanks for accommodating that. We appreciate it.
Any other questions from council or the public on the land development matter?
Mr. President, just so I'm clear, I think Mr. Bello made it clear the approval will be subject to the other conditions in the letter too, right? The
Next one, Mr. Wooden. Public questions on that? Okay. Then all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion passes. That's the motion to approve the waiver.
And you would need a motion to approve or deny the application, subject to the conditions as modified with regard to the payment of the fee in lieu.
I'll make a motion to approve with all the conditions.
I'll second the motion.
Motion from Mr. Heil, second by Ms. Funahashi. Any questions or comments from council on approving the actual request? All right. Or the public? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then that is unanimous. Thank you and congratulations. And thanks for coming.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up for council consideration, a traffic and parking subcommittee recommendation regarding 613 Ford Street. Members of council, in your packets, you will find a disabled parking space application from the address in question, 613 Ford, as well as a memorandum from the Traffic and Parking Subcommittee recommending approval of said disabled parking space application. The applicant has demonstrated a very real need for the space. There is currently no off-street parking at the residence in question, and there are not other disabled spaces pre-existing, adjacent, or nearby the residence in question. Furthermore, the traffic safety officer from the Bridgeport Police Department has also subsequently performed a review on this and also agrees that his recommendation is to approve said application. So with that, we would be asking Borough Council to vote on approval or denial of the disabled parking space application for 613 Ford.
I know this residence, this area, and I know that the parking is actually getting more challenging for them and that block. And I also know that they have good relationships with their neighbors who they look after each other there, even with some moving in and out. So with that in mind, I will make a motion to approve the parking space.
I'll second.
Motion from Mr. Heil, seconded by Ms. Gundrum to approve the parking space application at 613 Ford. Questions or comments from council or the public? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous. Thanks.
All right. Next up for council consideration, authorization to advertise the residential residential trash and recycling collection services bid. Members of council, our current contract with our residential waste hauler, J.P. Mascaro and Sons, expires at year end, December 31st, 2022. So we need to put this out to bid in order to determine a new residential or perhaps incumbent, depending on how the bids may fall, new residential trash service provider for the year 2023 and moving forward. One thing that I would like to note, that one caveat of this bid, the proposed bid specs that are on the table, we would be requesting applicants to submit bid specifications and pricing for both a potential 3-year and 5-year contract, depending on the numbers that we receive back and how they equate to our overall budgetary constraints. We could certainly consider accepting a 3-year or 5-year duration based on the bids that we get back.
I would just add for the record that this is how the borough goes about inviting various companies to bid. So everybody has a fair chance to bid, and we make our decisions based on who submits the bid and the most favorable, responsible bidder.
And we also endeavor very hard to make it well-known and very public to multiple vendors that all are welcome in terms of throwing their hat in the ring for the job of picking up our borough service, our borough trash. So, yes.
I'll make a motion to advertise.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Heil, second by Ms. Nolan, to advertise the residential trash and recycling collection services. Any additional questions or comments from council or the public? Questions on the trash? All right, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you.
All right, next up for council consideration, authorization of tree removal expenditures at Memorial Park performed by MJN Tree Service. Members of council, while this bill or this invoice would be authorized or approved for purchase or expenditure summarily when you go through the regular routine approval of bills and salaries for later on in the agenda for August 2022. I did want to single out and itemize this one just because of the uniqueness and the overall cost involved. There were and have been for a few years now several dead and dying trees in Memorial Park. I know that members of the park board have tried very hard to and have hired in the past contractors to take care of this problem to varying degrees of success. We have had contractors up there that have taken a few out. Some contractors have performed better than others. We had Mr. Nowitzki of MJN Tree Service kind of fall into our laps, provided us a very reasonable rate to address, to my knowledge, all of the outstanding trees that are dead and or dying up at on the hillside of Memorial Park, and we proceeded to jump at that opportunity. It was I believe the grand total was $10,600, and that represented, $10,800, and that represented 3 days at a daily rate of $3,600 to take down a large quantity of trees. Within the last few years, the borough has had to pay upwards of $19,000 to take down one very large tree that fell in Memorial Park. So for us to be able to work in tandem with the park board and get essentially all of the tree issues resolved along the Memorial Park hillside for a fraction of that was to me a no-brainer. So I just, for your approval, authorization of tree removal expenses up at Memorial Park.
Thank you for the thorough explanation, Mr. Truman.
Let's take care of those trees. I will make the motion.
Second.
Motion from Ms. Funahashi, seconded by Ms. Nolan to authorize the tree removal. Additional questions or comments from council or the public on the trees? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's unanimous. Thank you.
All right, next up for council consideration, authorization of our annual donation to the Montgomery County Norristown Public Library in the amount of $500.
I'll make a motion for the donation.
I'll second.
Motion's from Mr. Heil, seconded by Mr. Fee to authorize the donation to the county library system in the amount of $500. Questions or comments from council? Just like to say I'm happy we get to do this every year. It's an important resource, and I think over COVID, the libraries have only gotten more important and widely used, so I'm glad we can contribute. Questions from the public? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's unanimous.
Next up for council consideration, authorization of purchase from Cumberland Marine Repair LLC. The purchase would be for water rescue boats and trailer package in the amount of $35,933.25. Members of council, in the packets you will find a memorandum accompanying the cost estimate for aforementioned purchase. This purchase is being made as an effort to help the Borough Fire Department to become less reliant upon mutual aid from neighboring organizations when faced with water rescue operations. While, of course, the fire department responds to isolated water rescue calls throughout the year, the primary need for having our own water rescue equipment is when the entire region is faced with a flood emergency, as we were in early September of last year. At times like this, all municipal organizations are taxed and in need of their own rescue equipment for staff for internal responses. This has, in previous years, held Bridgeport reliant on one of our mutual aid partners having the staff and equipment freed up from their own needs to then provide aid to Bridgeport. So the purchase of this rescue equipment in unison with ongoing water rescue training being conducted by Bridgeport Fire Department members, along with ultimately in the near future Bridgeport Police Department members, will certainly strengthen Bridgeport's ability to more swiftly and adeptly deal with water rescue operations moving forward.
I know a lot of thought went into this and planning, and I know a lot of folks in town were really looking to the borough to see what we could do to improve our ability to react to things like Hurricane Ida and the flooding. So, Mr. Wanzik, I know you were involved, and Mr. Truman and Chief Beretta in this effort. So, thank you to everybody who put some work into this. With that said,
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
motion from Ms. Nolan, seconded by Ms. Gundrum, to authorize the purchase of the boats and trailers. Any additional questions or comments?
Question, will there be additional authorization for funding for training or training that's brought up here? Because like you said, we need that, and we need to know who is, not only who is going to be trained, but who we want to make sure an adequate amount of staff are trained.
Vice President Heil, well, it depends on, I guess, and Mr. Wanzik, please, Chief Wanzik, come on forward. If I were to answer your question, I would say if you're asking if the fire department will continue to perform that training and where the funding will come from, I would presume yes, and it would come in the annual operating stipend that we provide in the budget every year.
So since Ida, we had conversations, and the decision was made to move forward with this. So since last September, 14 members of the fire department have obtained to the operation level for boat rescue. So there's an awareness level, which is just a fishing game class, 3-hour class. And then the operation class includes swimming in the pool, using various equipment, swimming in the river, doing rescue techniques and those type of things in the river. And our next level would be the technical rescue, which would include 2 additional classes. One is an advanced line class, which is ropes, stringing ropes back basically across the river to make sure that, if somebody breaks away from a rescue, if we were in a river situation. And the next one that we have lined up is the boat operations class, which would put us in the river, in the boats. As far as the classes are ranging to about $1,500 a class for up to 15 members, which we think is relatively inexpensive for what we're getting. And then we would do a yearly refresher on those different modules. We've been pretty lucky with our training budget here that it's been able to cover that stuff. We've looked at various fire companies with water rescue equipment. Last night we had Country Hawk and Fire Department up with theirs, and the setup that we're looking at is the setup that most fire companies in this area have. One is they're both blow-up boats. One we can leave both of them blown up. There's actually 2 boats with 2 motors. One's a 30 horsepower, one's a 40 horsepower. The smaller of the 2 can be folded up and put in a bag. As they say, it's a bag boat, but it's a big boat. It holds 6 people. So we think we're prepared and we're ready to move forward with the purchase. I know that I had talked to Chief Beretta, and he has a few members that have started the process to catch up to us. So hopefully by year's end, we have 18, 20 people at the technical level for rescues in the water. So
That's excellent.
That's these events.
Really great to hear. Thanks to you and all of the members of the department.
It's been fun. It's a little crazy, but it's been fun. At my age, I don't like floating down some muddy river, but we did it. We did it. So
You did it when you were a kid. You grew up in Bridgeport.
No, that's the thing. 60 years old, the first time I swam in the river. Yeah. So, but we really feel we're ready. So, all joking around aside, we feel we're ready to move forward with the purchase. I know that it was put in the capital for this year, and we're at the point to move forward. We put a lot of time and training into it. So. I don't know if Chief Brett has any comment. I know, like I said, a couple of his guys are jumping on to catch up to us, and we're going to kind of wait till they catch up to us, so they'll be in the boats with us in a few weeks.
So you're saying the police had to catch up to the fire department?
For once, yeah.
No, because we're not going to. One, we're obviously going to buy this. We can't go through. We did not get it. But 2, if there is any sort of training that needs to happen that you know of, I think that we would immediately say yes. So if
That's
there are
one
other
thing I
things-
can honestly say. You guys have never cut us short on training. We could. Seriously, we do all kinds of stuff, and we let our guys, if they want to sign up for something, it's not that expensive through the county, and we've actually hired a company. It's called Elders Rescue LLC, and he was actually a member of King of Prussia, and he's certified to do all this. So he's, in my opinion, 1,500 hours for 15 guys is not per person, for the whole class. So
I'm really blown away that we'll have 14, 15 plus people that are trained to the technical degree of whatever to be able to do that. That's great. That's really
there's going to be
impressive.
some minor maintenance and stuff, but we feel we could squeeze that into our budget, maintaining the motors on the boats and those type of things. But we honestly feel we can keep that. Unless Mr. Truman at budget time can find a couple % for us, I might as well throw that dig in now. But yeah, we really feel we're not. The maintenance on it isn't going to be that much.
Chief Wanzik, is there any truth to the fact that I heard that you had floaties and an inner tube on at the last
On my arms.
water rescue
On my
training?
arms.
Yeah.
And I guess at this point, it's a done deal. The Google Fire Company obtained a $50,000 grant for more additional equipment, which would be the dry suits, the helmets, the boots, rope bags, things like that. So there's some additional funding that we were able to obtain to buy some of the additional equipment that we're going to need. So we're excited. We're excited.
Great.
So-
And there's no argument, just want to make sure that we are meeting our obligation. I'd hate to say to the residents, yeah, you could have been rescued, but we wanted to save $1,000 on training. That doesn't seem like it would make sense, so.
Nah, that's one thing we never cut short on is the training. It's important, so.
The implication of which is that you get cut short on other things.
I'm just gonna let it go.
Well, I'm just very appreciative that we have a fire department as well as a police department that are just so willing to dive into such intensive training. So thank you very much.
It was fun. It took us a long time. Scheduling was bad. The river was too low because you swim in the river. And there was times we had it scheduled, then there was but we were able to get everybody done. And like I said, we're just going on to the boat ops as soon as the police department. I think you're 2 weeks away from to start their training, so it should be fun. We'll get you guys out in the boat. If we'll throw a vest on you, anybody wants to go for a ride. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Wanzik. We do have the motion on the floor. Any other questions from the public on the boat matter? All right, then. Council, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, that is unanimous.
Very good. And finally, for council consideration, approval of bills and salaries for the month of August 2022.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion from Ms. Funahashi, seconded by Ms. Al-Zaid. Questions or comments from council or the public? All right, all those in favor of paying the people, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you.
All right. Moving forward to unfinished business. Are there any members of council with unfinished business to address this evening? All right. Seeing none, we can proceed to committee reports. Are there any committee reports to share?
We do have a movie night happening this weekend, this Saturday. I believe the movie is Bad Guys. We'll be starting at sunset here at the Borough parking lot. So if anyone wants to come out and hang out, please come out.
And I'll note that we had a finance committee meeting last night and went over potential hiring options for the future year and other issues, but everything's working out so far, so thanks.
All right, thank you both. Seeing no further, no further committee reports, we can proceed to the mayor's report. Mayor Jaxier.
Thank you. I just got a few things this evening. I feel like a lot of the previous meetings I've explained how I've gone to all these businesses. I think this time I focused a lot on meetings. I was lucky enough to attend the recent Garden Club meeting, Sustainability Committee, and multiple meetups with the Business Association. Always good stuff happening, even in the downtimes of council meetings. Last Tuesday, as many of you know, in collaboration with the police department, my office hosted Bridgeport Night Out. And I was really pleased to see how many people were in attendance and also having a great time. Despite the unpredictable weather, I think we still had a pretty decent turnout. A huge shout out goes to Officer Sell for really being a huge force behind that event each year. And I also want to give a special thank you to Chief Beretta for staying in the dunk tank for an impressive amount of time. How many times you get dunked?
I think it was like 35 times in an hour. I don't think that's even humanly possible.
You drew quite the line of willing participants there, Chief.
I did, and I tried to hurl some minor insults at people. Maybe that spurred it on.
Well, thank you again for that. I also wanted to thank Public Works staff for assisting with that, as they do with all events like that. It's a huge help. And to the informational booths and demonstrations like the K9 demo, which was really awesome. All that stuff really makes the event really great every year. So thank you to everyone who was involved. This month's office hours, they're going to be taking place, I guess it'd be next Wednesday, August 24th, in my office on the first floor of Borough Hall from 7 to 8:30 p.m. So everyone is encouraged to attend if you'd like to show up. Many of you already know that Bridgeport is taking place in the Battle of the Boroughs ice cream competition from 3 to 6 p.m. on Sunday, August 28th. While we're starting at 3, we're actually going to be at Frosty Falls from about 3:45 to 4:15. So if you want to join in the fun, that's when we'll be in town. And I'm also excited to share that earlier in that very day, I've coordinated a fun event for the kids in town with the fire department. From about 1 to 2 p.m. on the 28th, the fire company is going to be hosting a spray down event in the Borough parking lot. It's hopefully going to be a little bit of a hot day, so you can come get cooled off by getting sprayed by a hose from one of our fire trucks. So thank you for that.
Not quite at full throttle, though, I assume.
We'll see.
We'll see. Anything can happen.
It's very true. So that'll be hopefully a fun little thing for the kids. And kind of a bigger thing, my last thing for the evening, I wanted to announce my intention to start planning a new big event along with the many other residents for the benefit of our community. As you might see on the little plaque up there behind our council president, Bridgeport was officially incorporated as a borough on February 27th, 1851. And to celebrate this momentous day, I intend on hosting the first ever Bridgeport Founders Day that weekend of next year. So I believe it falls on a Monday, so that weekend. But to begin this process, I am looking for support from our council to proceed with a search for steering committee members who are Bridgeport residents that are passionate both about the rich and unique history of our borough, but are also excited about the future that awaits us. So I just wanted to gauge some interest on that from council.
I think it's a fantastic idea, Mayor Beth. That's all I have to say for now. I'm excited to see where it goes.
I'm looking forward to recreating the first ever council meeting that was held in the local tavern. So let's make that happen.
I'll see what I can do. So I guess anyone who may be interested in joining the steering committee, everyone is welcome to, hop on board. So just reach out to me if you're interested, and I'm sure there will be a more official means of submitting interest at some point in the hopefully soon future. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jaxier. Moving on to the chief's report. Chief Beretta, sir.
Just to touch, welcome everyone. Just to touch on what Chief Wanzig was talking about for the training water safety. So we'll be hosting the next training days for the next group. It's going to start here next Tuesday evening for the first 4-hour section of it. We have one guy that's already certified. We're getting 4 more certified. So that'll be about a third of the police department at least at the conclusion of that. So as the technical side. So it's great to see that component, the physical component of the equipment and training to lessen further impacts. On the regular police side, when you think about criminal investigations, I did put out a special press release with the arrest of Tymir Carter. He was 20 years of age from the 200-unit block in North Wilson Street. Police were called for 2 suspects involved in theft from motor vehicles around 1100 Bush Streets. One of the subjects, Carter, was taken into custody near the Strength and Fitness on the 1000 block of Ford. He was arrested for possessing a loaded and stolen handgun and charged with receiving stolen property, carrying firearms without a license, loitering prowling at night, and theft from motor vehicles. So good job by Officers Stillwagon and Sieber for taking him into custody. There was a local connection, so I would suspect that some of the people, this will interfere with the little group that was coming out here that had a local connection from Philadelphia using the trolley to come out and commit crime. So hopefully that will have an impact moving forward. So great job for those officers. We have a full-time officer testing that's going to come up on the 3rd of September. Our application process will close this coming Friday. It's at 4 p.m. So I'm looking forward to that September testing date and finding another officer to replace a retiring officer, John Pisa. John Pisa's been here for over 35 years. So you can't really replace somebody with that kind of experience, but we're going to do our best to try to find some good candidates. We have good candidates inside. We've got some good candidates in the pool outside. So looking forward to that. Just touching on what the mayor talked about, National Night Out and a Race for Peace, great event. A lot of people had a lot of good time, had some great times, got a lot of positive feedback, so that was an awesome event. Some of the training we have coming up, active shooter training. We have all heard about Uvalde, Texas, and the tragedies that have befallen other locations around the world, certainly within our country and sometimes in our region. So with the Montgomery County Chiefs of Police and training, we'll start up going at the end of this month and into September and October for active shooter training, trying to get our guys additional training to be able to respond appropriately and consistently while working with other disparate police departments. So you all know what you're going to do with your partners. The thing is, how do you train so that when there's somebody you don't even know that wears a different badge and you go to a different location, how are we going to work together? And this helps people train and act the same way and work off the same exact set of rules. So that's coming up. That's good training. Part-time or full-time officer Steve Bailey, again, thank you. There was a shooting in West Conshohocken. He spotted a car off of Bush Street, initiated a pursuit that was broken off, going over past the Nadenauer Bridge into Norristown, and West Norton made the arrest of a subject and helping out West Conshohocken. So a shout out for Officer Bailey again. And that's all I have for you tonight. Have a wonderful day.
All right, very good. Thank you, Chief Beretta. Moving on to new business. Are there any items of new business to discuss this evening? All right, very good. We can then proceed to open forum and announcements. And before I turn it over to any members of council that may have announcements, I'd like to provide a brief update regarding the work being done on DeKalb Street in conjunction with the Chester Valley Trail. I received an update from the County Planning Commission, who are administering over this project this morning. The work on the installation of the railings going over the Norfolk Southern train bridge will continue through this week. They won't be completed this week, however, as that crew is going to be getting pulled off of this work to work on some pedestrian bridge assembly over in Upper Marion next week. The work on the Schuylkill River Bridge, however, will be substantially completed by the end of this week. And then there is no other work for the borough scheduled for the next 2 weeks at this time. Overall, however, the county is saying that the schedule is that they're projecting paving and guide rail work in Bridgeport to be finished by the end of October. And then after that would just be plantings, which I presume they're going to wait until spring to take care of, and then subsequently traffic signal testing. So it looks like by the end of November, the trail construction and the arduous traffic patterns we've been dealing with over the last several months will be coming to an end. So there is that. That being said, are there any announcements from any members of council this evening? All right, seeing none, we can then move forward to public comment. Are there any members of the public that wish to come forward and give comment this evening? Dr. Abdallah.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Ray Abdallah. I am here for the Bridgeport Business Association. I am very pleased to announce that the BBA will be restarting the in-person meetings on Monday, September 19th, 2022. The meetings will take place here at Bridgeport Borough Hall, just like we did prior to the pandemic. Additionally, the BBA website is being upgraded and revamped as we speak. The new website format will list businesses by services they provide, by category and industry. And I really wanted to come here tonight just to personally thank the elected leadership and the professional administration of Bridgeport for the support that the BBA has been receiving since our inception in 2017. The above and beyond interaction from the leadership in Bridgeport to the business community has been always appreciated, and we are here to thank you and to announce that the in-person meetings will take place. So thank you. If there's any questions to the BBA or any comments, it'll be my honor to address.
I think just a thank you, Dr. Ray. Really, I'm excited to see where it goes. I know we've had a few businesses open in the last year or two, and with COVID shutdowns and everything kind of getting off track, they didn't necessarily get integrated into the business community, but you're going to pick that ball up and run with it, and I'm looking forward to it. So, and also thank you for coming out this evening.
Thank you. That's our objective. Thank you.
And since you're here, Dr. Ray, I was going to bring something else up, but you may be able to comment as I do. I was at the Upper Marion Community Cupboard this morning. I see Ms. Stronk here, who is there every week. And the need there has actually been growing lately. And a lot of the people that get food deliveries or come to pick up food are from Bridgeport. And I know we do our best here as well, but I would hope that as we do the budget here, since we just donated to the library, if there's something we can do to support that initiative, and maybe that's something that the BBA can take up, because it's not money going out of the borough, it is money that's helping feed families here. So something to keep in mind as you're looking for initiatives for the BBA is working with the cupboard potentially to help get food to people in the borough.
I think that's a great concept, Mr. Heil, and I think definitely we can add it to the agenda of our meetings. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to add, I think it's a really exciting time for Bridgeport. There's a lot of new businesses popping up, and there's been a lot of interest. A lot of people came out to our initial interest meeting a few weeks ago. So I'm just excited to pick it back up and have it grow.
Well, Councilman Funahashi and El Zaid and the Mayor Jack Sear, you guys have been amazing. And again, when I say the leadership, the elected and the professional leadership in Bridgeport has gone above and beyond. And again, as businesses, we appreciate it. And I think no business can find a better place to operate than Bridgeport. That's my opinion.
One other thing, actually, but before I forget, because we just had a meeting with the county representatives about our comprehensive plan, and so that may come into things that you're interested in, something, whether it's you or Ms. Funahashi, someone here to coordinate with Mr. Truman about getting the insight from the businesses on some of the things that we might be looking to do, adding into the plan we already passed. So things like zoning reform, certain things that would help the businesses here that we're going to be doing at the county, just to get their insight in and do it professionally. So please stay in touch with everybody about that process, because it's a process. It's not going to be done the next month, but good insight could help us be very business friendly as we get new residents and things here.
Thank you, Vice President Heil. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Doc. Any further public comment?
Motion to adjourn?
Approved.
I believe so. Folks, I'm looking at the clock. It looks like, 8:41? We are adjourned. Thank you.